Good morning. Welcome to the annual Principals Emergency Fund Breakfast. We're coming to you online again this year. Maybe you're at home, maybe you're at the office, maybe you're with friends. We're just glad you're here, and we hope you will help donate to this very important fund. My name is Drew Mickelson. I'm the King 5 News South Bureau Chief. I live here in Olympia. My wife and I have 2 daughters in the Olympia School District. We love this community, we love this district, and we have seen firsthand how important this fund is, especially in the middle of a pandemic. Last year, I got to witness the power this community has as we raised more than $150,000 during the online breakfast for this nonprofit foundation. Your continued support this year will ensure that we can continue to support the students in this district who need the help the most. Joining us now are Board President Kelsey Christensen Abel and Executive Director Katie Johansson.
Thanks, Drew, for agreeing to host our event again this year. And thanks, Principals Emergency Fund supporters, for tuning in today. As you might imagine, planning for this event began months ago, and at the peak of that planning, the idea of gathering for a meal in a crowded room with hundreds of people just seemed unrealistic. As Drew said, it is our hope that you are enjoying this in the comfort of your home, your office, your home office. Maybe you're with a small group of friends, maybe even being hosted by one of our table captains who are very generous. And speaking of generous, I want to thank Left Bank Pastry for providing items for breakfast baskets this year. Students may be back in the classroom this year, but so many of them continue to face some very real challenges. Supporting these students and their families and their urgent basic needs is what this breakfast is all about. I think we can all acknowledge just how fortunate we are to be able to participate today. So many of us weathered the pandemic, facing our own challenges, yet our basic needs were never in question. For the students and families the Principals Emergency Fund supports, basic needs are a struggle. They're often a constant struggle. Just a couple of examples of how your support helped students last year. Thanks to you and the United Way of Thurston County, we were able to provide internet assistance so students could participate in distance learning. Thanks to your support and Columbia Bank's Warm Hearts Fund, we were able to provide immediate shelter to houseless families, something even more vital during a time when many of us couldn't leave our own homes. We hope to continue to raise vital funds for these students with your support today.
I'm Kelsey Christensen Abel, this year's foundation president. I want you to know that we could simply not do this without the amazing support of our local businesses and individual sponsors. At this time, we would love to thank our presenting sponsor, who's been with us since the very beginning of this event in 2008, Verizon. And thanks to Jonathan, Patricia, and Cameron Seib for their support. And thank you to Help Us Move In for a $10,000 matching grant to assist families who are experiencing housing insecurity. Thanks also to each of this year's gracious sponsors at the following levels: the Coho team of Windermere Agents, Commencement Bank, Forma Construction, Multicare Capital Medical Center, and Twin Star Credit Union; Academy Mortgage, the Lacey team, Coldwell Banker, Evergreen Olympic Realty, Jennifer Ziegler, Public Affairs, Jocelyn McCabe, Public Relations, MPH Holdings, Claris Eye Center, and Olympia Federal Savings. And all of our teacher sponsors, as well as our student sponsors, and our foundation partners. Together, we are doing amazing things for students and families in Olympia schools. Thank you.
Now we'd like to share some of those stories with you. You'll be able to see how this help has changed the direction for some students, not only here at school, but at home and in life. And these are just a handful of the thousands of students who have been helped by your generosity over the years.
I met Addie when she was in 8th grade. She was at Jefferson Middle School and was identified as a student with a hearing loss. She was in special math and reading classes to help her out.
They just kept doing like ear lavages, cleaning out her ears, and then later on we got a referral to Children's, and they were like, she's quite a bit deaf in both ears.
What was probably the most heartbreaking to me was when students came back to the hybrid model. Addie confided in me that she could not understand any of her friends. They were wearing masks and she couldn't hear them, she couldn't use facial cues, the masks were muffling. All these months of being separated from her friends, to come back to school and not be able to have a conversation with them in the hallway. That was just, it was hard.
Being a single mom is extremely hard because you're nonstop. Appointments in the mornings to working in the afternoons throughout the night. My general schedule is 12 to 10:30 every day. I work 5 10.5-hour shifts, generally speaking, to try and provide.
When I first met Addie, she had a pair of hearing aids that I believe she'd had since 4th grade. It became apparent that these were not working as best as they could. She needed something that was going to get her not only through junior and senior year in high school, but then whatever she plans to do after she graduates.
As a mom, you know, you just want to like take it all and, you know, just I can handle all of it, you know, so that they can be not in that state.
We're able to connect with Katie, and the Principal's Fund said, yes, we will be able to provide a new pair of hearing aids for Addie to keep. And that was a good day.
Guilt almost like comes over when you can't just do it. You know, I don't just have that $4 grand just to be like, yep, let's do it today. I didn't even know that the Principal Emergency Fund even existed until Addie was helped with it and Danny reached out.
To be able to go into a job interview, or if she wants to, you know, go to college, go to technical school, whatever Addie wants to do, she's not going to have to worry about, will I be able to hear them? How many of us think about new hearing aids and what a difference that can make? So this is pretty exciting. This little story about Addie and her hearing aids kind of gives a face to what your money can do.
Can you hear me? No.
So Katie and Kelsey, tell us how the funds that are donated end up getting used.
As you can see, Drew, much of the emergency fund this past year went toward groceries, thanks in part to our partnership with Stormans Inc., internet expenses, clothing, rental assistance and emergency housing, as well as utilities. Different from past years were expenses that helped families who couldn't do their jobs from home. Providing gasoline vouchers and childcare subsidies made a world of difference for them. We continue to see an increase in students' needs, and thanks to the generosity of this community, through the PEF, we can not only support more needs, but more services as well.
One thing that makes the PEF so effective is how quickly we can respond. Our partners in this are the principals, the teachers, counselors, and other staff who can recognize families and students in need.
Hi, I'm Drew Phillips. I'm a principal at Forma Construction, a general contractor that primarily focuses on the education sector, do a lot of public K through 12 projects. My wife and I have 2 daughters that have gone through the Olympia School District, one off to Portland State this year, and another that will be a sophomore at Capitol High School. There's no better value in placing money into this foundation. It has no cost, and the programs it support are amplified 10, 20 times over in helping kids. If somebody on the front lines wasn't empowered to fix something, then they're not gonna be motivated to be paying attention. Like, having that backing so they get to complete their dream of being a great teacher or a staff person, or recognize that. Like, that's something that's extra that they're giving our students, and having the means to fulfill that. It's got to make the teachers feel good, or the staff feel good, and the student feel good. I don't think it takes much but little special touches from caring staff, parents, and teachers to positively influence a kid for the rest of their lives. Like, making sure that the school is a safe place where that kid wants to be can be very valuable to that person's future and to all of us. So yeah, this is tremendously important.
How does the fund get to those who are most in need? Those on the front lines, teachers, administrators, counselors, school principals, identify and help those students with the very basic needs: food, clothes, even a safe place to stay.
Typical teenager's job is just supposed to be to go to school. It's not necessarily to have to make sure that there's groceries in the house, or that the bills are paid, or that that my mom makes it to her doctor's appointment. So when you have students that have all these other responsibilities on top of that, it makes it extremely difficult. My name is Amanda Hall. I'm school counselor here at Olympia High School. I work with students whose last names start with D through HI, and I've been here for my 14th year starting my 14th year here. I have a pretty good knack for working with young people. I can relate with them. They're just fun to be around. They help me feel youthful. When I am able to help a student and I know that it's made their day better, or just something in their life go a little bit better, then I feel like I've done my job. When you see a student that is so stressed and down and out and in a place where they just feel like there's nothing left, you know, they don't know their next turn, they don't know what's coming up next for them. And when you can just, you know, be there for somebody and say, you know, hey, what would you say if I could help you actually get your glasses? You can just see their, oh, you know, they just kind of light up. That's what fills up my cup. So I definitely think that OSDEF helps bridge that gap between school and home. You know, the schools don't always have the funds and the things that we need, and so it's really helpful to have these outside agencies that can, you know, come in and give us a little more support. When we can, you know, kind of level the playing field, if you will, for the students, then they can focus, you know, and you kind of just see like a new look in their face, you know, when they come to school, because they know, like, okay, I feel like, you know, I can focus again. I'm thankful for the donors so that we have this opportunity, you know, to give to these kids, because it means the world to them. I mean, just something very simple that could mean nothing to so many people could mean the world to a kid.
At this time, we would like to honor this year's recipient of the HEX Hero Award. This award honors the creators of the Principals Emergency Fund, Lieutenant Governor Denny Heck and Paula Heck, a retired principal.
There are a few people we want to introduce you to right now who have gone above and beyond to assist students and families with urgent needs. They are this year's HEX Heroes. Mike and Kendra Barrett are the owners of Charlie's Bar and Grill, and they have 3 students in Olympia's schools. 3 years ago, they took over organizing our annual golf tournament, and in that time, they have raised more than $60,000 for the Principals Emergency Fund. Mike Barrett is a fellow Capitol High School graduate and volunteers countless hours coaching students in our community. Kendra is a former foundation trustee whose heart of gold compels her to continue to raise funds for the Principal's Emergency Fund.
Also receiving the award this year, the Olympia Diamondbackers, a booster organization for OHS baseball. In 2020, sadly, there was no high school baseball, but they sold their beloved flower baskets anyway and donated a portion to the PEF. OHS baseball coach Derek Weldon, who accepted the award on the Diamondbackers' behalf at this year's golf tournament, pledged to continue that support for years to come. Thank you, Derek, for modeling for your student athletes how meaningful it is to contribute to those in need in your community. And thank you, Diamondbackers, for thinking of the PEF.
We'd really like you to open up your wallets and help us out this morning. If you're struggling to figure out how much to give, Jennifer Weldon might be able to help. She's the CFO of Multicare at Capitol Medical Center, and she says foundations like the Emergency Fund can really help a community.
My name is Jennifer Weldon. I'm the Chief Financial Officer at Multicare Capitol Medical Center. My husband, Derek Weldon, is a teacher at Olympia High School, and so I came to be aware of the Principal's Emergency Fund and the foundation and the resources for children through his work experience, and we've tried to remain involved with that and help where we can. I am a mom, and I'm fortunate that my children don't need access. Sorry. As a child, I had a very different life. And I was homeless for the first 6 years of my life. And I'm really, really blessed to have my mother's family. My mother died in a car accident when I was a newborn baby, and my father was an addict. And he was a high-functioning addict and did the best he could. And my mother's family became aware of the situation, but not until I was about 6, despite being present in my life. And so I was very fortunate to have them, and they took me in. And I'm really a product of a village to raise a child. And so, but we were still poor. And I was raised by my grandmother primarily, and she worked very, very hard to support me and support everything that I needed. And to provide, but I did without for a lot of things. And I'm very passionate from a personal place. Children who are hungry or need access to care or that are cold, because it's all very real, even, nearly 35 years later in my life. If something like the emergency fund had been available for me that we could have tapped into, I'm not saying my life would have been better, but I would have had, I would have been more comfortable. I would have had clothes to wear that, didn't come from a garage sale, or I very vividly remember not having food in the summer and having, to eat salted ice to feel full. And so children that are hungry or that need clothing, just to have a safe space to learn. It's very difficult to learn when you're hungry or cold. And so I'm super passionate about it, I'm sorry. And then in my career as a healthcare executive, you learn more and more. I'm non-clinical. I don't provide bedside care and won't pretend to know what that is like. But what I can tell you is that the impact of the social determinants of health on the entire population, but children that are still developing, is critical to their success in the future. And we as a community, I think, are called to make sure that our children have what they need so that they can learn, so that they can provide for themselves and their families. It's the only way to break the cycle of poverty. And the Principal's Emergency Fund is more than just paying somebody's light bill or buying a jacket for a kid in the winter. It keeps them from getting pneumonia. It keeps them from hospital bills that pile up, or needs to go to the doctor, and then the parents have to take off work and then perhaps lose their job. It's just the proverbial ripple in the pond goes really, really far when you start at the beginning.
So you know what to do to help these families in need. When students have their basic needs met, they do better in the classroom and in life. You can donate by going to our website, osdef.org, click on the red donation bar, and that'll take you right to the donation page.
That's right, Drew, and every little bit helps. We have a goal of raising $125,000 today, and with your help, we know we can do this. You can either make a flat donation, or if you prefer, a smaller monthly pledge to help sustain the Principal's Emergency Fund throughout the school year.
We want to thank all of our table captains this morning. Thank you also to our amazing breakfast committee, and a special thank you to our Foundation Board of Trustees who work tirelessly to support Olympia educators, students, and family with the PEF, as well as our grants and other initiatives.
At this time, we'd like to remember Shannon Cameron, a former Foundation trustee who passed away this year. Her legacy of positivity, treating others well, and putting others first is something we can all aspire to and will never be forgotten in this community.
We really appreciate you joining us this morning, wherever you are and however you did watch. We will have a link to this event so you can share it with friends and family who couldn't make it this morning. If you want to donate, go to our website, osdef.org. Thank you so much for your continued support.